Enter stage, you can leave that there, yes. Thank you. Now I would like request Mr. K.K. Reddy Garu, the member of Neredko, to please join me on this stage. K.K. Reddy Garu, the member of Neredko. Sir, if you can please join me on this stage. And let's give us a token of appreciation. Can we hear it for sir, please? Can you please put your hands together? Yes, ladies and gentlemen, that's... Sir, you're on the stage. Thank you so much. And now, if you can please give the sapling. Now presenting the sapling to sir here on the stage, the founder of Amor Group. Thank you so much, sir, for taking your time and gracing this occasion. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my distinct honor and privilege to introduce a person who's at the forefront of securing our urban landscape and protecting the lives and investments within it. He is an officer who has dedicated his distinguished career to public service and security, currently serving in a critical role for the state of Telangana. His department is instrumental in setting and enforcing the brand marks for safety that defines our skylines. Ladies and gentlemen, he is the architect of many new safety initiatives and the principal authority guiding our pre-preparedness strategies in the face of urban growth. Please join me in extending a thunderous round of applause for Shri Vikram Singh Mann, IPS Director General Telangana Fire Disaster Response, Emergency and Civil Defense Department, Government of Telangana, with a huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. You should keep applauding for sir till he gets onto the stage, please. A very warm welcome, sir.
Good afternoon, everybody. I can absolutely understand and empathize. It's almost 3:30 p.m. The sessions started somewhere around maybe 10 or 10:30 if I'm not wrong. So naturally, there's a human tendency to run out of steam and patience. Thank you for the introduction. Yeah, okay. Oh, we remove it. Yeah, we can, yeah, I don't need this. Thank you. The lady who was just giving some introduction about me, it's nothing exceptional. I'm just one of the public servants among thousands of us doing our job to the best of our ability. With the topic of the new initiatives and challenges of safety in high-rise projects, I have been given this opportunity to speak a few words. And let me assure you, I'll stick to my timings, absolutely. I don't intend to drag on for a long time. Apart from today's forum, we'll definitely be in touch. We'll interact more often and in a much more productive manner as we go along this path. Shri Vijay Sai, President of Neredko Telangana chapter, all the office bearers of the Governing Council of Neredko, members, developers, investors, industry professionals, media members, ladies and gentlemen, a very good afternoon to all of you. I have been in this chair for just about 2 months, but when I was not in this particular post, Still, everybody of us can get a sense of what Hyderabad is going towards. As you drive down from the city per se, that is what you call the earlier core, as you drive down outside towards Gachibowli in these parts, whether it's the western part or the northern part, and to some extent even the southern parts, you find a sea change in the urban landscape, particularly in the last 20 years, and more so in the last about 10 years, I would say. The way things are growing, literally and figuratively. When I mean literally, yes, it is growing, and figuratively also it means it is growing. I come from North India. I have seen quite a bit of development in those parts of Gurugram, Noida, which I am sure most of you are familiar with. But the kind of development we are seeing now in Hyderabad and surroundings, that's mind-boggling, if I may say so. There are so many reasons behind that, so many factors, so many incentives, etc. I won't go into that, but it is extremely relevant and extremely heartening to know that we are on a very, very positive path. I just broken down my interaction with you in some topics. I just run through those. About new initiatives. When we, just before me, there were a couple of distinguished speakers. I happened to listen to them. They were mentioning about medical tourism, medical infrastructure, and the amount of work that needs to be done in that front and the scope we have for that. Yes, it is very important that we go in for all such new initiatives, which is the need of the hour. We have a lot of requirements also. At the same time, it has to be congruent with the regulatory frameworks. Anything that is done, it is not just about real estate sector. Anything that is done has to be guided by certain statutes, regulations, bylaws and guidelines. That is like sine qua non, you cannot help it. Now coming to the brass tacks of my conversation here, we happen to be one of the regulatory agencies. Regulation is not the correct word, it's more a licensing agency. We have other agencies like HMDA, we have Airport Authority, we have Pollution Control Board, Environment also chipping in. We all have a role to play in this, in our respective areas. The bottom line is that we all have to work in sync with the sole and the only sole objective of seeing to it that the real estate sector keeps on kicking, moving ahead flawlessly and smoothly with the ultimate objective of bringing growth, development, affordability, and some peace to the common man as well. This specific topic speaks about high-rise buildings. After joining, I just happened to visit one mega city, that is Bombay, recently. And Bombay, as we know, is terribly cramped for space. You have two high-rises just about 3 meters apart also in Bombay. And those are going up to 90 floors, 95 floors also. Just to put the record straight for your information, some of you might be aware of it. Now in Hyderabad also, very soon, maybe in the next 3 to 4 years, we are going to have one high-rise that's going to touch 72 floors. Very recently, we've had a presentation in my office. We have given them the go-ahead. That is the kind of marvel we are going to see in the future. We have several high-rises which are of 40 stories, 45 stories, 50 stories. Now we are talking about 70 stories, which happens to be the highest in the entire South Asia. That is the kind of vision, that is the kind of challenge and the risk appetite. All of you, all the builders community, those who are participating now, present, who are not even here, that is the kind of appetite you are showing, and it's a very heartening and a welcome thing. Particularly in a city like Hyderabad and surroundings, which has enormous potential to absorb much more quantity of real estate development. unlike many cities which are facing constraint in terms of space. You are aware of the initiatives from Fire Service Department. We have this software called Preval. Let me be very honest about it. This Preval, this software system was introduced way back in 2017. It had its own teething issues. We kept on revising it, updating it, making it simpler. The latest version of this Preval software, this is for provisional licensing only I'm talking about. This was just upgraded about 2 months back. So we still are working on a lot of issues on that. Yes, I am aware of many of you who are facing a lot of problems while uploading your documents, uploading your papers, your plans, your schemes, those diagrams and those things. But now after the passage of over 2 months, I see that things are beginning to settle down. It's not going to be that difficult anymore. It happens naturally with the introduction of any new technology. It takes a little bit of time to streamline the things. The idea of this is, as we are all aware, is to do away with the manual scrutiny, which besides being heavily human dependent, takes a lot of time and energy. And to just scan or scrutinize hundreds of documents just for one project is not an easy task for any department, particularly for the fire services department with limited resources in terms of manpower. Nevertheless, we will keep on evolving this software, and the biggest advantage is it is going to give us a uniform implementation of the NBC guidelines. Earlier on, before the software was introduced, there were a lot of haphazard things happening, a lot of erratic, uneven things were happening. The only endeavor is to provide all of you a unified, singular platform which standardizes things, makes it simpler and easier for every one of you. And in this, particularly the developers, the MEP consultants, architects, they are still adapting. I keep on getting a lot of visitors, a lot of people walk into my office, they come to our headquarters also. There are a lot of having queries also, and we try and help them to the extent possible. Please utilize, go to our website. We have given our helpline numbers. We have given the contact numbers of the software firm, which has been recommended by the IT&C department. They are duly authorized software developers for this Preval. You are free to approach them, take their guidance, consult them, so that when you submit your documents, at least for the provisional part of it, your things are through without much delay. Coming to role of developers per se. NBC compliance is the ultimate responsibility of everybody, including us, including the department, the government, the private sector, builders, real estate, etc. We just cannot wish it away. Some people say that this is not mandatory, that is not mandatory. Please tell me one thing. You need to have a framework or written document to follow on everything. When we talk about our country's democracy, we talk about the preamble. Preamble is nothing but part of the constitution. You need to have a basic written framework. NBC, and of course we have a lot of state level GOs and amendments coming in also. So these have to be properly borne in mind. I would also be mentioning a few things which I have noticed in just past 2 months, which I observed when I went around visiting many different sites, many different kinds of structures, different occupancies, and which have really, like, it has come to my notice in a very, very peculiar manner that I can't help but sharing all those things with you. It is more like an advisory thing. You can keep in mind, it is going to help you in the future. The fire drawings which are approved by you, or rather by the fire services department, then you start with the construction work. You please share those drawings with your site engineers during the construction stage. I have had some cases, builders coming to me saying that, sir, now when your team came for occupancy NOC, they are listing out these 10 queries, these 10 shortfalls. How do we answer this? So when we go back into the details of the issue, we ask them to produce the provisional NOCs and the drawings which were approved. We find that there are some inconsistencies. So my request to all of you is, once you get the provisional NOCs, the drawings duly approved by the fire services department, later on whatever, HMD and finally this thing. Please stick to those drawings. You have the freedom to change. In case you want to make a change in a structure, you can always do it. You increase the height, decrease the height, reduce something, add something and all. For that you will again apply for a provisional NOC, that's fine. Once having done that, please sit on the drawing board, the builder, the owner, the MD, the site engineers, the supervisors, your draftsmen, the guys who are actually on the ground every morning and who are doing the construction well and looking how the towers are going up. Share those drawings so that the gaps are minimized. That is one area of concern which I have noticed in the past 2 months. Because although we have the pre-well software with us, we don't have the wherewithals to that extent required. We don't have those expert draftsmen and those kind of technically sound people who can go and scan every centimeter of the document that is submitted by you. To the extent possible we do, but this part you please keep in mind. Then, this was about the missing components. Many of you come to us saying that, sir, this was not pointed out to us while issuing the provisional NOC. Now let me tell you something about the provisional NOC part. A provisional NOC is just about 6 to 7 pages of documents which we sign and issue to you. In the beginning it talks about your application, your site, your survey, what you want to build. And then we have the terms and conditions. Now what we are noticing is that many of the builders, they come to us, sir, you did not specifically mention this point in the provisional NOC and therefore I did not implement this. Now I don't understand what to make out of this. You are all aware that the actual NBC, that code, that document, that part 4 of NBC, which talks about this fire safety and building norms and all these things, it runs into several hundred pages. Now, if you want us to simply take a Xerox of those 500 to 600 pages and attach to your provisional NOC and telling you that, okay, now you go back home and you read this 500 to 600 pages, will you honestly be interested in doing that? You won't do. Nobody would be interested. So we try to give you the crux in a nutshell, duly mentioning what are the most important salient points of the provisional NOC. Please go through those points at least. Those are just 5 to 6 pages, that's all. The provisional NOC, not more than that. Please go through this. And now after I have joined, I have also started insisting on mentioning some additional responsibilities that have to be taken up by the builders. Very specific ones, like something about pump house, something about pressurization, something about lift lobby FRDs, something about 120 minutes, so on and so forth. So that at least maybe your man on the ground, your engineer is able to focus on those points. Okay, these 6 to 7 points have to be implemented come what may. Preventive measures. As I mentioned, there is a lot of variation in the quality of your drawings. I can understand that not every human is equal. Not every professional is equal in the same profession also. We have builders, from the biggest builders to medium range of builders, and builders who are just coming up. Like one gentleman speaker before me, he mentioned that he is just entering this new field now. We have all the entire spectrum of builders before us. Some of them are well equipped in terms of resources, some are not that well equipped. So this has an impact when it comes to applying for licenses. For example, some of the drawings are, let me be very honest and blunt, some of the drawings are just horrible, to say the least. Now when I'm looking at the presentations, I just can't make anything out of those drawings. We have to sit 2-3 hours with them during that presentation and literally guide them to update their drawings and sketches and reapply. But some of the presentations are very good. Let me also admit that. They are almost flawless. There are no loopholes, whatever. There are hardly 1 or 2 things to be tinkered here and there, and they are through from us, from our side. So that is the range. That is again a practical field situation. Now, to my knowledge, if you hire a consultant in Hyderabad for building, and if you are hiring a consultant maybe somewhere in, I don't know, Adilabad or Utnur or Nirmal somewhere, because very soon you will be having high rises coming up on those areas also as the city and the state grows. So there is going to be a variation in the quality and the comprehension of the architects, your consultants. When you are entering this field, which is a very, very risky field, real estate is a very risky field. You are aware of that. Go for the best. Go for the best. Don't compromise on certain basics so that your project takes off smoothly. Risk assessment is important. Then things like pre-construction stage, access for fire tenders. It's quite surprising to see that even today, many of the high-rises drawings which they come to us, they are not able to really explain to us why they have not left the proper the distance in terms of the driveway or in terms of the offset or in terms of what you call the master plans. The other day I had a presentation, I asked a gentleman, look, your driveway is this much meters, your offset is this much, you are planning to do this, but what is the drawing in the background? He says, this is the only information I have, sir. Maybe after 6 months I'll again come back to you with a revised drawing. I'll surrender my whatever space has to be given and you give me the provision NOC. Let us all try to improve our knowledge base also. It's only for our good. Limitations in terms of technology I have mentioned. Dusty environments, the high costs of advanced suppression systems. Not everybody can be like top class, I would say. Then there are a lot of issues in terms of the interoperability of the IoT, Internet of Things issues also, which is one of the niche and the frontier areas as far as real estate, particularly more so for the high-rise sector that's going to happen. We are already into it now. And reliance on imported equipment, that is again one of the challenge, which leads to some kind of delays in implementation. Costly mistakes. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my responsibility to share today before you some of the loopholes, some of the mistakes which not only mar the project, it also reduces the customer's confidence in your particular project. And at the same time creating unnecessarily bottlenecks by the concerned departments, including fire services department, to handle that project. Ignoring the fire norms, poor maintenance, substandard electrical wiring. We all are aware that worldwide, the maximum incidents and the most precarious fire incidents happens because of electricity based things. Whether it is poor quality, it's poor workmanship, it's poor the end finishing, your poor MCB boards or whatever. So we cannot afford to go wrong, or we cannot afford to have substandard electrical systems in our buildings, more so in the high-rise buildings when you are talking about 65 stories, 70 stories, etc. Few of the things which we notice: improper training. When we come to you for the occupation OC, my committee comes, senior officers also visit once in a while. Maybe it is because of shortage of time, everybody is hard pressed for time, you are hard pressed for time, we are hard pressed for time. We give you a lot of instructions that please carry out this, please carry out this, please carry out this. In quite a few cases I am noticing that those are not implemented 100%. May I ask you why? Why don't we do? Getting a document is just one part of the story. It's just the beginning. You imagine your one single tower, say of 40 stories, that would be accommodating how many people? Hundreds of people, hundreds of residents would be staying in one single tower. There would be elderly people, there would be infirm people, there would be sick people, people on wheelchairs, kids, ladies, children, everybody will be there. These all small things what I am sharing with you, these ultimately add up to something not being perfect for the customer. Please remember that. Improper trainings to the fireman, to the people, these are mandatory things. These are not crafted by us. These are NBC norms and the other statutes I am talking about. After construction is over, as I told, sir, this was not mentioned in provision NOC, or sir, by inadvertently we missed this point. How can you, I can't understand that. When we are talking about high rises particularly, then compliance, as I say, is not optional. These are life-saving. We are talking about human lives. Somebody is staying on the 40th story, 50th story. Just imagine what choice or what option does that man have in case there is a fire somewhere on that height? Let us bear that in mind. Let us bear that in mind and get as perfect as we can to the implementation part of the whole thing. Renewal OC is another one thing. Not many of you approach for the renewal OCs because it's optional now. It's optional now. Now what happens, only those builders, applicants come to us who really require a renewal NOC. Others don't come to us. Okay, that's fine, it's your choice. No compulsion from our side. But in whose interest it is? It's not in our interest. We are not going to stay in those towers. It's your customers who are going to occupy those towers. My request to you is, and it's a mandatory thing, it's not a mandatory, it's absolutely voluntary willingness. You should think about the renewal part also. It's not that renewal OC, one team will come, they'll point out 10 shortcomings. It is in your own interest. As it happens more often than not, at the time of occupancy OC, you promise a lot. Okay, we'll remove the cap of the sprinkler system. Fine. We said, okay, you remove. Then you say, okay, in pump house, one pump room is malfunctioning. We'll rectify it. Okay, done. You rectify. Then there is some water sewage in the pump house. No, sir, this happened because it rained last night. We'll clear it off tomorrow itself. Okay, done. You clear it off. Okay, sir, something is stuck up in go down somewhere, some imported fire door and all is coming. So we'll do it, sir. We assure you, definitely we are going to do it. We go by your word. Why? In the interest of expediting and making things easy. We are talking about EODB, right? Ease of doing business. We talk about EODB. It's just part of that. It's all good trust. And you have other issues also. When you come to us, you have other issues also. I can understand your perspective on that.
Man sir, I would like to interrupt for a while. We have our Honorable Minister for Irrigation and CAD,
Okay.
Shri Uttam Kumar Reddy Garu. I want everyone, please put your hands together and let's welcome sir. I want everyone, with a huge round of applause, let us welcome sir for taking out his time and gracing today's event. Ladies and gentlemen, Shri Uttam Kumar Reddy Garu, Honorable Minister for Irrigation and CAD. A very warm welcome to you, sir. And proceed now. I'm so sorry for the interruption.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon once again. Let me have the honor and privilege of extending a warm welcome to our Honorable Mr. Garu, Shri Uttam Reddy Garu. Sir, good afternoon, sir. Sir, good afternoon and a very hearty welcome to you, sir. I am Vikram Singh Mann, sir. I took over as DG State Fire Services and Disaster Response just about two months back, sir. So I had this opportunity of being invited with Neredco Telangana chapter to say a few words with the audience, mostly builders and other industry people, sir. So with your permission, sir, I won't take long, so it's just about 5 minutes and I close it off, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, won't go back to what we have already discussed. Coming to the reforms part of it, as I am mentioning that the existing Telangana State Fire Safety Act, that is quite outdated now. Honestly, it was created way back in 1999. Since then, there has been a sea change in the whole urban landscape in terms of real estate particularly, more so in the terms of high-rise buildings. Way back in the 90s, mid-90s and the late 90s, one couldn't imagine the kind of scenario that we see when we drive down towards Kokapet or Neopolis and all those areas, so on and so forth. That was the beginning. Keeping that in mind and the recent developments, recent few unfortunate incidents, with the advice of our Honorable CM Garu, we have already come up with a draft amended legislation of the Fire Act. It has been put up to the government, and very soon we will be pursuing and getting it approved by the highest authority. That will make things in perspective and more in sync with the present times, the present developments, and keeping with the next 10-15 years future time also. The few of the key provisions of this will be, it will bring more buildings under the Act's purview, need not necessarily be the high-rise ones, it will just include all kinds of buildings. Introduction of a self-certification mechanism by the owners, obviously because we have a lot of constraint in terms of manpower. It will also empower the fire department to declare certain buildings unsafe if they don't fulfill certain criteria. Imposition of fines for violations, making the act, offences under this act cognizable, enabling stronger enforcement. These are the broad parameters and the contours on which the present act was found terribly wanting and which needs an upgradation immediately. So these are going to be part of the new act that's going to come up. It will be liberal towards the compliant builders, those who follow the rules and the regulations, but it's going to be a little tough against those who violate the norms. Also mentioning about the third party auditors evaluation, that's also going to be one of the intrinsic parts of the new legislation. That will give scope for a lot of more business generation also, lot of professionals who are feeling left out of the system in terms of their contribution to the fire safety ecosystem. They'll also be drawn in part of this once the new act is in place. The IoT integration, as I mentioned a while ago, the Internet of Things, that is going to the future. We talk about AI, we talk about ML, we are talking about everything. IoT is going to be an intrinsic part of the real estate sector, more so for the high-rises buildings when we are talking about 70 stories. Mind you, 70 stories. 70 stories, 72 stories, no joke. This tower, one single tower is going to come up in the next 3 to 4 years somewhere in Gadkesar area. We have just given them the provisional NOC. That's where the IoT and all these things will come up. Where? Because obviously there are limitations to human interventions, to human checks and balances. You have to compulsory incorporate all these things into it. We are preparing to bring in IoT-based sensors into our fire ecosystem very soon. This will help monitor and prevent the real-time measures and also the relaying of data to dashboards. I'm not able to recall, but recently there was one fire incident in our surrounding area or somewhere in the city where there was just because of a delay of 10 minutes in calling up the fire 101, the fire just blew up. Luckily there were no, this was recently only in somewhere in South Zone. The fire was witnessed by the watchman, he was casual, he took good 10 minutes to ring up 101 and by the time our tenders and all things were there were already one casualty. The person died before our fire people could reach it. This shows that what are the limitations of the human intervention. So we are going to minimize on these aspects. Certainly that will be part of it, but it will be co-terminus with the technological interventions. Smoke detection, sir, again very important. Majority, I would say almost 99% of the fatalities, the casualties of any fire incident happens because of smoke inhalation. It's not because somebody just jumps or walks into a fire just like that. It's the smoke. Whether it's a small building or it's a huge building or the high rise, it's the smoke that is the biggest killer. So when I mention to you about the small things which you have to comply, keeping in view your limitations and your requirements, I can understand that. There are certain things which are absolutely non-negotiable. Making adequate, 100% foolproof smoke controlling measures is one of the things. When I go to any building for an inspection, most of the places I am noticing that the horizontal and the vertical shafts are still kept open and you are applying to us to NOC. Please don't be in a tearing hurry. Let me tell you, we are dealing with human lives. When your project comes up, thousands of people will be staying in those areas. Give a thought to them before really rushing into obtaining the various kind of statutory licenses and all those things. Smoke is one thing, be very, very careful. The other one was electrical appliances. Please don't compromise on, don't try to save anything on the electrical appliances and the wiring part of it. That is the most dangerous, the biggest killer of all. Building management system needs to be worked. We'll be talking to you later on also. Sir, this is just a platform where we are hardly, it's more like a monologue. You're all on the listening side. We love to have you have more one-on-one interactions, group interactions. come up with some workshops, plan it in a more scientific and a detailed manner so that we can come out with a roadmap and do something more meaningful about the whole thing. The idea is from reactive firefighting, we should think of preventive firefighting. We are also working with the best practices throughout the world, be it the US, the Europe, whatever. We are adopting and seeing whether those firefighting practices will really work in an environment, and we're going to pick up on the best from those also. A passing mention about EV fires, electrical vehicles. These are only going to increase in the coming times. If I'm not wrong, on an average in an apartment building, we could have about maybe 10% of the total vehicles could be EV as on today, maybe 5 or 8 to 10%. That is quite a modest estimate. This percentage is only going to increase in the coming times. Now, are we really prepared to handle that? Imagine you have 4 basements. You have 60, 70%, 80% of the vehicles are EV. EV vehicles, on the other one hand, while they are very good, the customer friendly, very easy to drive, maintenance free almost, at the same time they cover their own dangers, their own shortcomings, their own risks. Are we prepared to tackle that? Are we designing our buildings in that way? Are we incorporating because where do you park your vehicles ultimately? You have to park in the basements only. You can't park them on the main road outside. There's no space. Where do we put them? In the basements. Are we incorporating, are we adopting the latest practices? Are we thinking of some EV points? Are we evolving the technology of the EV? Because EV charging stations are equally dangerous. You won't have a clue till this whole basement catches fire. You won't have so many security guards moving and keeping an eye. This two-wheeler is likely to catch fire and no. So let us think and let's work on that jointly in the coming times. Ladies and gentlemen, coming to the conclusion of it, I got this very nice opportunity to say a few words with you, but as I said, this is more like one way. Any good outcome comes only when we sit down, we brainstorm, share our good practices, the not so good practices, our fears and concerns, and what are our expectations for the future. I am going to do that very soon. I take that responsibility of organizing some very well-planned, calendar-based kind of series of events with all of you so that we can take it in a right spirit forward. Particularly the way the sector is growing, it's just mind-boggling. All around you look, the way the city surroundings are developing, and I mentioned earlier, very soon there will be a day when the same scenario will start happening in like places like Warangal, Karimnagar, Khammam, and so on and so forth. So it has to be a complete statewide system and same standardization and the same awareness and the same competency. As I mentioned in the beginning, the architects and those consultants, they have to be equally trained. We'll plan some workshops for them also. We'll have some standardized trainings for them also so that your drawings in the initial stage itself are good enough to be approved. You don't come up later saying that you had approved this, but we have built this because our architect was not up to the mark. No, that excuse will be too late and too risky by then. It's a transformation. It has to be a partnership. We are just one of the stakeholders, sir, as I mentioned, apart from the other government departments, and of course, the biggest stakeholders being all of you, the real estate, the builders. Purpose is we should strive, and we will definitely have a safe Telangana as far as the firefighting measures are concerned. And as they say, prevention is always better than cure. You have a fire, my tender goes there, it douses the fire. We are lucky if there are no casualties, but that is the secondary part. The first thing should be our preparations, our preventive measures, and few of the things I could share with you at this juncture. It should not be a formality. It's about human lives, protection, and resilience. That is what we can do forward. I once again would like to extend my warm welcome and thanks to Minister, sir. Sorry to keep you holding, sir. I would like to thank Mr. Vijay Sai, the President of Neradko Telangana chapter, and the entire team that they have organized this nice event. Wish we can have these events more often so that we are updated regularly rather than it being, need not be at this scale. A smaller scale we can always plan so that we can actually go ahead with something really more tangible rather than dispersing once in a year on that. Moving with confidence, vision and discipline, a safe Telangana to all of us, and we need to all work together. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. Here you have applause, ladies and gentlemen. So I want you to please stay back on the stage. If you can please take center stage. I would request the chairman of Raj News, Lakshmi ma'am, if you can please join me on stage. I would request President NARCO Telangana, Vijay Sai Mekka Garu, to also please join me on the stage. And a token of appreciation from us, if you can please hand over a sapling and a memento. So, your presentation on the new initiative and challenges of the safety in high-rise projects in Telangana has been an absolute masterclass. Yes, I think you can please put your hands together and give a round of applause. You have not only eliminated the challenges that come with our city's remarkable vertical growth, a challenge of scale that is unique to modern metros, but you have also given us a clear roadmap forward. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us and sparing your valuable time here. Thank you so much. Lakshmi ma'am and Vijay sir, I want you to please stay back on the stage. Thank you so much, sir.